So back again with another broken Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. I've done a little bit of tweaking to my setup here to hopefully make it easier to watch for everybody. So let's just go right into it. So I have here another broken Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. Just clicking around. I don't know how well you can hear those buttons. Go back here. See me hear all the buttons. Right stick. And here's the obvious issue. That left stick, it doesn't click at all. So first thing we want to do, go to our demo. I'm going to plug this into the system. All right. Oh, hey, that top one, I already have another controller plugged into this system. Ignore that. So sticks all move pretty well. They settle within that, acceptable dead zone on these Xbox controllers. Shoulder buttons, triggers. Ooh. There's something that might need some cleaning. I didn't bring out my tools for that. I might have to run and grab that and really wreck the stream. This B button is a little weak. I think that probably just needs some cleaning. D-pad's good. Option, start. So here's a thing that I've already tested, but I'll show you. You can see under B11, that's the right stick, it clicks. B10 is the left stick. It does register, but it doesn't click. And I know, like, whoever ends up using this, I'm going to put this up on eBay or Craigslist, wherever, when I'm done with it. They're not going to be a big fan of that. So, yeah, I actually already have the replacement stick right here. I'm going to show this off a little bit. So, last time I repaired one of these controllers, I'll pull this part out so that you can see kind of how it's assembled. Last time I repaired a controller, I didn't take out the entire stick assembly. I just took off these green potentiometers right here because, the stick had drift, and replacing these can fix the drift. Normally, if I could, I would just replace the button, but the button is like built full-blown into the housing of this stick. So if I'm going to have to take the whole stick out regardless, even to replace the button, so I'm just going to replace the stick. And the sticks on the Elite Series 2 controller are different than the sticks on the regular controller, the Elite Series 1 controller, PS4 controller, Switch controller. All those controllers use the same stick part. This one uses a slightly different one, and I'll show you on the camera. It's because the actual stick here is threaded for screwing on the covers here. And there's also a little pressure button here, if I can kind of press it down. What this does is it affects the tension on the stick. The harder it's pressed down, the more tension, the more force is required to actuate the stick. So I'm going to be installing this into this controller. So let's make sure it is turned off. Got that blinking light. And let's take it apart. I just have kind of my random little toolkit here. No iFixit sponsorship for me, guys. Sorry. But I've got my pry tool, my spudgers, and I actually have another pry tool in here as well. These are the tools that I will be using to crack this open. So last time, it took me a solid 20-25 minutes, I feel, to open this. The strongest clips are here at the base. So you really want to start with this clip and then move on up the side, and then you can kind of move across. And I found that was the best way to open it last time. So sticking this pry tool in. Seeing if I can release this clip. maybe come at it a little bit from the side. How did I do this last time? I should have reviewed how I did this last time. Also, this tool is a little chowed, so I'm going to pull out this tool, which is a little bit cleaner. So I think what I want to do is, okay, if I'm remembering, the clips go in. Let's start from the side. Yeah, there we go. Now that I'm in there, I can take my spudger and get to the really strong clip here at the base. Did I do that? I don't think I did that. Alright. I'm just putting these spudgers in place to kind of hold it open. So I take this guy out and move down here. And now the strongest clip is here at the base. And last time I was doing this, I definitely felt that as soon as I got that clip up, which I just did, it was a lot easier to take the rest of it apart. Cool. So now that we've got that up, not too forcefully, I'm going to put a spudger in here just to make sure I don't lose that clip. And just find the next one, which is like right here. Awesome. Going a lot faster on this guy than the last one of these I did. There we go. Now that spudger in there, I shouldn't lose any progress on that side. I'm realizing, of course, I want to take the faceplate off. I've left these sticks and this D-pad piece on. Let's take those off. So as I'm taking this apart, I will note I bought this controller, known broken, on eBay for $80. It was for 80 bucks. You know, it came basically as you see it. It has its case. It was missing the back paddles. But I happened to have an extra set of those from the last controller I fixed because I wanted to keep that controller. So I got some cool, like, golden paddles for it. Because I'm a nerd and I like my stuff to be pretty. There we go. And it was also missing the charge base. I pressed the power button, so I need to turn it off again. So I ordered. I'm considering the paddles, you know, not a cost that I need to worry about. I ordered a new charge base from China for $12. Only now recently having found one on Amazon that would show up much faster for $15. And we all know stuff from China is coming super duper slow right now in the mail. Okay, where's my last bits? I think at this point. Yep, there we go. You didn't see me I wasn't looking at my screen. I'm sorry if you didn't see me do that too well, but that's right. I forgot. I've got little glue pads there. That's what made it so hard to pull up last time. All right. Take this faceplate, put it over here off to the side. I'm just taking a look at everything here because I want to make sure I don't mess up tension on the wires. I'm going to take this little adhesive pad. There's one on each side, but one of them stayed on, the other did not. So I'm putting it back in place. Right, am I missing any adhesives? Not. We, of course, have this warranty sticker thing that, you know, sorry, Microsoft, I'm voiding your warranty. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to take off these little caps. Again, remember the stick is threaded, so these caps are actually screwed on. So the way you do that is you just take one of your joysticks, put it on, and turn it until it comes off. So the way the tension works is you can see there's this little kind of Phillips head dealy in the cap, and it comes with a little like screwdriver key. You twist and it increases the tension on this little pressure switch on top. Taking this bad boy off. So I was thinking originally all I would have to do is replace this stick, but now that I need to clean up this B button, I might actually have to run off stream real quick to get some alcohol and some Q-tips, but let's go ahead with the disassembly so far. I'm going to take my pry tools and move them back into the box because I'm done with the prying aspect of this. I'm pulling back out my favorite screwdriver, my wow stick, and then these 6 screws on the front are all T9 screws, so I need my T9 bit. It's T8. Here's T9. And I also remember the next set of screws on this are T5. So I'm going to pull out my T5 bit early. All right. Actually, reach back, grab some tweezers to see if I can cleanly get this warranty sticker off. Yeah. This sticker just like shreds apart super easily. And last time I had little bits of it everywhere, and I just didn't want to deal with it this time. So now these screws are in pretty strong, so I actually have to manually turn them a bit. All right. There we go. Screws a little caught on my bit. There we go. So if I recall, I'm thinking ahead to kind of the gumminess of that B button. The A, X, and Y buttons are on one board, and the B button is on another board, because I think the Xbox controllers are either 2 or 3 boards thick. Take out the screws. We also have to take off this top plate that's held in place primarily with some tension in the back, and then these two clips here. So of course I said I didn't need my pry tool anymore. I lied. You can use the pry tool to just pop it off these clips. I think maybe I was a little premature there. Gonna have to just pull the stick out. If I remember. Yep. Take off this back housing. There are no ribbon cables. And again, this back housing is just this battery right here. And then circuit boards for the pedals, as well as these mechanical controllers here for the adjustable triggers. So I'm going to take this piece, move it off camera because we're not going to mess with it now. All right. So, yeah, looking at this, what I can tell you is there is this big green board and then this blue board. This blue board has the YXA buttons as well as, I believe, the D-pad and all these face buttons. But the B button is the lone button that is on this green board. We're giving this just a quick look over to see if there was any water damage. Doesn't look like there was. Okay. So last time I didn't remember if there was. Maybe there is a little bit of water damage on this. I think that'll probably come up with some alcohol if I give it a clean. Interesting. So what we want to do is we have to detach these antenna, which are, I believe this is going to be the Bluetooth and the 2.4 gigahertz antenna. The 2.4 is used by the Xbox itself. Also, I think we are in a position to take this piece off. Excellent. We always just want to get that piece off because it kind of gets in the way of other steps. So we just gotta carefully get these wires out of these clips, and using little tweezers that you can get on both sides of the clip under the wire and just pry from there. It's good for that over here. It's just maybe a bit more of a yank. Yeah. Alright, so we're primarily getting at this green board. Now to get at this green board, we're going to have to take these motors off to the side. I don't want to have to deal with, desoldering, resoldering these motors, so we're going to be careful about that. Now we've got these two T5 screws here. I'm looking down under my camera, you can see my hair. So we've got these two T5s here, and then these two T5s here that we use to release the trigger motors, which will let us pull this board out. I think at this point, I just flipped on a power switch next to my foot to heat up my irons. these T5s are held in place with a lot less tension, so they're easy to get with a motorized screwdriver. Magnetic bit doesn't want to do it, so I have tweezers here. Alright, so just taking a note, it appears that all of the tension for the motors that come from the triggers is on this side of the board, which is where I thought it was last time. And now that I have that in my head, I know where to leave all the, not the tension, the slack. Okay, so now we can take Don't be like me. Pay better attention to your wires. There we go. We pull that down, and then these trigger caps come off. That's right. Exposing these motors. At this point, just a little bit of flex and pull. We have released this green board. I believe there aren't any ribbon cables. But we do. Yes. And of course the headphone jack falls out. Don't want to deal with that. Trying to remember how I did this last time. And I think, how did I secure these motors? Okay, I need to remove this shoulder button assembly, which I believe is just a pry right here. Yes. So we're taking these shoulder buttons off so we can get these motors off of the main board, and just doing that allows us to really free up the board that we're working on. So you want to very carefully just route these wires around the clips off of this body here. Being a little snagged on this last bit. There we go. And now we've got this body removed. And we've got this board, which is what we are primarily concerned with. So now we can find the offending button. And this pad. This pad's a little greasy. Take a look at the inside. It's pretty clean. Before I do reassembly, I will just go get some isopropyl alcohol and just give it a good solid cleaning. But this is the offending stick that we want to get off. Again, you know, I'm not someone with a hot air station, which makes these sticks come off really easy, but I do have a desoldering gun. I think I have a slightly better strategy for using it this time. Am I hot? I am hot. So let's just see. What I'm going to do is, oh, that focus isn't that great. I'm going to put a little ball of solder in the gun and then put it on the pad. and then suck it all up. And yeah, that came up mostly clean. I might probably have to redo that one. But let's get all these electrical contacts first. That's just the big, like, body ground assembly. This strategy does not appear to be working too great for me, so I will just go back to tried and true. I'll put a solder ball on there and then suck it up. Go back and forth. There's a total of 14 contacts that I have to clear. Get all the excess solder off of this tip. Alright. Alright, melted. Move it around. Yeah, that's much better. I realize I've got random tools in my work space. Always keep a nice clean workspace. It makes the work much easier and much more pleasant in the end. So desoldering these sticks is not the most fun work. The solder joints are very fine, and it makes desoldering them without the absolute correct tools not as easy as you'd hope. Yeah, that was nice and clean. Look like I've got a little burn on there. That's just some flux. That's not the PCB burning at all. Let's move on to the next one. So I'm just kind of twisting it until the solder melts. There we go. That did not come out super clean. I'm probably going to have to get that one again. The actual contacts with the components as opposed to the frame are a little easier to desolder versus the frame, which just is just a big round and doesn't clean up nearly as well. Alright, what I did there wasn't super smart. I'm probably going to have to redo that one. I think I actually made it worse by going back at it with the gun. without adding more solder. There we go. That'll be enough to vacuum up. So here's the fun of having to replace a whole stick versus just the potentiometers is if I was just replacing the potentiometers, that would be the last pad that I have to do, and I did not do a great job on that pad. I'm going to have to redo a lot of these. But let's just keep moving on. I'm going to put a bit of solders on a couple spots. I've been not doing them all one at a time just because, like, especially those potentiometers, the contacts are so close that if especially in the middle button, when I move it around, it sucks up all the solder from the other pads, and then I have to resolder those pads anyway. But these pads are all pretty spread apart, so I can solder them all, then desolder them. The fun of this gun is it just does not get super hot super easily. There we go. It's being like that. Just put a dab of solder on the gun. This would be a lot easier if I had proper flux. I need to properly solder those pads again already. There we go. That should be much easier to clean up now. Yeah, that one didn't feel good. There's going to be a lot of redoing some of this work. It's just, I'm going to turn up my iron to max heat because I just feel like it's just not getting hot enough right now. All right. So I'm not feeling too great about that, but I'm going to get a pry tool under here, see how loose I've got it. My pry tool, give me something a little bit finer than a pry tool. I might just have to start taking this thing apart in pieces because it's easier to remove fewer contacts. So yeah, I'll just take these pots off first. Tin this tip a little bit. I do not recommend the strategy that I am employing here. Yeah. I did not cleanly get a single leg of this potentiometer off. So now I have to resolder the whole thing so I can properly desolder it. Or maybe I can be extra bad now that I've got proper solder balls. Run my iron across, keeping it all flowing. No, that was a bad idea. Viewers, why didn't you stop me from doing that? Okay. At this point, I think, yep, there we go. Got the first part off. That leg's loose. That leg's pretty loose. I think I just have that one leg I really have to loosen up a bit further. Yep. Got both of the potentiometers off. Real quick, I'm just gonna clean off the dirty pad here. The fun of course, cleaning out a clogged pad. Sometimes you gotta get it extra clogged before you can really declog it. That didn't do it either. Yeah, I think I should invest in a hot air station to make this type of work easier. Okay, so what I need to do is get this solder nice and hot and really cover the hole. Okay, it's hot, hot, hot. There we go. And that's how we clean that out. Let's look at these other ones. So this contact right here is nice and loose. And I think that's the only one that's really loose. So I guess I'll start working on these frame contacts until I get them good. Something I might also do, I'm just doing off camera, although I guess I can switch back to my face. So I've got my gun here. Even though I should probably, if you can hear that, that's how much solder is in my gun. Yeah. Oof. That popped up and hit me in the face. Pushing this back. Yeah. Sometimes you just want to clean these out real good too, because of course more solder in the gun means a more restricted airflow. So just put this back in there. Hopefully it's got better suction. And with this, I will just sweep it up. I'm clearing all the tools off of this pad because there's this big old pile of solder here. And I am just going to pour it out in the trash can I have next to my desk. When you watch those edited YouTube videos, this is the magic you do not get to see. But no, we only do it live here on twitch.tv. Right. Get back to it. I've got that corner pad that I got nice and covered in solder. That may have made it worse. So I think what might be the best strategy for removing this part, and I will have to stand up for a minute, cover the camera, is these legs protrude a little bit. I can just grab a pair of diagonal cutters and cut them, and that will make it much easier to get this off the board. Okay, now I'm back. I also went and snagged some Q-tips and some IPA. I got my diagonal cutters. They were in the first place I looked, but I did not see them. So I had to look in 5 other places. I have a 4-year-old, and I love my 4-year-old, but children can be agents of chaos, and those agents of chaos really make it difficult to find things sometimes. Clip that lead. There we go. Okay. I've clipped those leads. I will just have to be a little bit more careful when I extract them from the board. But now we can just focus on desoldering these button leads, which should be much easier now, because there's a little bit of tension on these solder joints. I realized I just resoldered the joint that was already clean. So that's on me. That's a bad sound. I'm not getting any of these joints to go loose. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's nice and clean. Maybe I just needed to clean off my tip. That's the problem there. Yeah, that one's clean, so I bet if I apply a bit of tension here, yeah, we just got those last 2 leads to get that part off, and then we'll clean it up, and then we can put the new piece in. I'm at 52 minutes right now. I was hoping I could make this video shorter than my last one, but anytime I saved on opening the shell, I lost in the soldering. Ugh, that joint just did not want to come loose. I'm going to have to do that one again. But let's try this guy. This is going to be another one of those cases where I think I'm just going to pop it off the board and clean it up with pliers. Yep. So yeah, I'm just testing this part now. Yeah, this button got all gummed up. It's got no click left on it whatsoever. So, okay. Bring this part off. So, I'm going to need to very carefully with pliers. Ooh, well, this one was already out. So that's nice. I don't recommend the strategy I'm employing here to remove these extra leads, but sometimes you just gotta do what works. So I've got my soldering iron and my tweezers here. I'm going to switch hands so I don't try and solder between these antennae. So I pulled it through the other side. So now I just need to run the solder sucker on that joint to get it clean. I've got to do that to 4 more spots. Oh, I think I've got a little bit of extra on there. Still got a bit extra. There we go. Now it's clean. So put some extra solder in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically press this through with the soldering iron. And having a circuit board holder would be super helpful here, but here I am without. This lead appears to be a little stuck. Okay, there we go. I think I just need to put a bit more solder on it to help it get nice and hot. I'm doing my best to do this without burning the board, because you don't want to scorch the board, because what you can end up doing is lifting the pads that everything is soldered to. Yeah, there's a ton of solder in here now. You know what? Honestly, I'm looking at this and now I'm thinking I need to push it through the other way, because it looks like it's just straight up hooked onto something on this side of the board. There we go. I know sticking my head between the item and the camera is not making for the best content. All right. I'm going to try to vacuum this guy up at this point. It's nice and loose. I don't know what is going on with this lead. I think I might just tin this tip. And basically with the tip of these tweezers and a melty soldering iron, instead of pulling it through, this is not going as well as I would have hoped. And clean off my solder sponge. There we go. Got it. Oof. That was a rough lead, but it is out. Now I've just got this lead and these two. These two should be easy. This one is going to be another gross fat one to try and pull through. So we'll see how well that goes. I've got plenty of it to work with on the other side. So the first one came out really easy. I expect this one will probably be a little bit closer to the first than the second. So the camera is bobbing a bit. It's resting on an arm that's on my computer monitor in front of me. So apologies for any instability there. All right, I've got a hold of the lead. Did not pull through. No. No dice. I'm gonna do what I did last time, which didn't work great, but it did work. Just have to be a little bit more careful when you're soldering on this side of the board because there are actual components here that you can knock out of place if you're not careful with your heat. Okay, there we go. Pushed it through. Okay, now what I can do is pull it from, clip it with my pliers on this side, soldering iron on the other side. That's it. All those ugly fat leads are out. Now I just have these two skinny leads to get through, which should be much easier. And then just clean up these holes, solder in the new part. It's very difficult to get a good grip because there's just not much lead to hold on to here. I don't know why these leads do not want to go back the way they came in unless they're barbed, but I doubt that. There we go. Oof. Definitely have to clean this board up before I put it back together. It's doing what it was doing before. I think I'm just gonna have to push it through the other way. Or do that. One more, then I can clean it up and put the new piece in. This is definitely not going to be my best stream. So, any of you who are watching, I appreciate it. Yeah, I think after this, I'm not going to do any more stick replacements for a while. Yeah, it's getting, board's getting kind of sticky at this point, so I need to get this piece out now before I damage this board any further. I am definitely having a difficult time with this last little piece. I just think there's too much solder on it right now for me to really effectively grip it on any side, so I'm gonna get the solder out. There's not enough solder for my gun to really effectively melt it, so now I need to put in more. So my piece of advice from this is the first time I've actually replaced a whole stick. Advice to you, viewer, don't be like me. Use a hot air gun. So now I'm just gonna take I'm taking my tweezers and I'm basically just poking that hole, getting it hot from the other side. And it did nothing. I'm going to take a quick break from this one solder joint so I can just clean up all the others. So if I clean up all the others, I'll feel a little less terrible. That did not get hot enough. hear that good sound suction coming from the other side. Almost got the whole lead out there. I think I can get it out now without too much of a headache. To my tip, pull the smoke out of the way. So I can see daylight on this guy. You just what I would recommend here is perhaps using a better tip, having multiple irons so you can work with multiple tips at the same time. Don't think I'm using the best iron tip for this job. This is evidenced by the fact that I'm still working on this lead. Problem is I'm getting it with this iron, but it's not getting hot enough all around to loosen up, which is why I keep having to apply more solder. Ah, that was horrible, but that actually got the tip off, and it made the board not the prettiest, but I should be able to make that look less terrible before I'm done. So now I'm just putting a little bit of solder in there so that I can properly desolder it, and then I will have finally cleared out this stick. It only took me the better part of an hour. But that I need to put more solder in there again. Always keep the iron on long enough to get everything hot. The fun of doing all of this on stream, of course, is narrating your own failures in real time. bit more solder in there because I don't feel like there's enough. That's enough. Boom. Daylight. So, yeah, the first thing I want to do, and I'm going to have to walk away from the stream again, is I need to get a toothbrush just so I can run over this with some IPA. I'll be right back. I am returned with a toothbrush from the opposite corner of the house. Just going to put a little bit of IPA on here. Just clean away my horrible mistakes. This is sadly 70 and not 99 because I have run out of 99, so it does take just a little longer to dry. Actually where did I put these? Right here. See if I can just kind of scrape away a little bit of this coating. And of course, because it's alcohol, and I'm on stream without paper towels, rub it around, and it evaporates. Yeah, there we go. Just a little bit of erasing my mess. From this board, and it looks much better. And again, because this is a Twitch stream, you get a lot of the stuff you don't get in a nicely edited YouTube video. I need to scrape this guy a little bit more because I don't know. Okay, good. That wasn't a trace. That was burnt. That was just gunk. All right. I think we are clean enough. take our new part, pop it down in place. Or not, because it looks like maybe I have one or two holes that are just not quite perfectly clean. This lead right here looks like it's got a little bit of solder in there. So I'm gonna just put it in there, in that hole, to make sure it gets anything that's in there. I'm gonna get nice and hot. Make sure all the soda that's in there is with it. All right. Assuming I get it, turn off this iron. Nope. No. Looks like the solder's actually bubbled out on this side. Alright, let's see if that made it any better. Can I fit a lead in there? Nope. Alright, that actually looks a lot cleaner now. So now, which legs don't want to come through? This leg doesn't want to come through. And I see why. For sure. There's a little bit of soda left over here. Yeah, it didn't make it better. So the lesson here is when you're replacing the stick is that these holes are only big enough for the components and no bigger. So you need to make sure These holes are nice and clear. Of course, there's a strategy. If you had a hot air gun, you can basically pull all the component, pull the whole thing out as one, and then using the hot air gun, get all the pads melted at the same time and push a new component through. Which would be pretty cool. Okay, I think that will fit now. But I'm probably wrong. I'm also putting in the... Yeah. Okay. Everything fits with that component, so I'm going to cheat it a little bit. I'm going to get my iron hot and just start with that pad. And as that pad gets nice and hot and soldery, I'm just going to keep pushing. Boom. Snapped into place. Well, that was a bit of a trick getting there, but now we just need to solder this guy down. And that is something I can do without too badly screwing things up. I think when I post this on YouTube, I'm going to cut this video down quite a bit. Okay, one more lead. And just to really make the practice here. Nice, good, clean. All right. I'm done with the soldering component of this video. What is left in the repair is I need to clean that pad, Q-tip IPA. Just gonna give that a nice cleaning there. And furthermore, we have the button. Let's use the other side of this guy. I'm just seeing all this old solder work here that was done in the factory, which is pretty normal for these controllers, and it looked exactly the same on the other one that I worked on. Alright. Now that we've been through that whole ordeal, we get to put this whole thing back together. first we line, not first, second, then like last time, I don't want to forget this piece, put the headphone jack back in place. You know it got in place because there's a little brad right there. So what I'm going to do at this point is just screw this board down, and then I will route all the wires. All right. That is in place. I will kind of put these big motors in place. They're going to pop out almost certainly. So what I will do next, get these antennas back in place. Just kind of pop it in with the fingers. Carefully get the wires back in, but here's the antenna itself popped out, so pull it back out, do it again. Put this in place, then the antenna, then the last wire clip. So if I had to give you, the viewer, any additional advice, this is just really dirty, I don't like it, from this video, when you do your first full stick replacement, don't do it on a controller like this. This being, of course, an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller that, you know, retail new for $180. Do it on a regular Xbox controller, retailing for $60, or a PS4 controller. Don't do all your learning on the expensive stuff. Interesting. I never noticed there's a second antenna thing right here. Oh well, I just look at this and it's so dirty and it's so hard to look at, and I'm scrubbing it and I know that as soon as this alcohol dries it's going to look dirty again anyway. So let's flip this over. Let's put the motor back. This is the left guy. Have to remember how to reassemble this. All right. That in place. Go through and route the wires again. Alright, now I'm just trying to get this wire routed under this metal plate, which is where I know it belongs. There we go. Through here. Undo this clip. And under this last clip on the side. Alright, and then fold over. I want to do the same thing on the other side. Stick the motor in with the wire routing going in towards the controller. And then wrap the wire under this last little clip. Pull it over. From there, let's screw these triggers back together. There we go. Not gonna worry about this trigger falling apart. I need to put this cover on, this on. This part goes on first. But of course, it is always recommended to orient your. No, I was oriented correctly. Pull down the trigger all the way. There we go. Got those in place. Pop this cover on. Do the back of it first, I believe. Last time I accidentally snapped a little bit off of it, and that wasn't ideal. Good. There we go. Everything's in place. Nothing's broken. Am I missing any pieces at this point? I don't believe I am. So we're going to just pop this back plate on. I am going to screw these caps back on. Other one, where did I plop down that other stick? So at this point, before I seal it up, I'm going to run it through the gamepad tester again to verify that everything is working. Then I can seal it up. This does not want to screw down. There we go. All right, at this point, we can plug it in. I'm going to go back to the demo view. There we go. You can see oh, that's a little unfortunate. Yeah. Stick has got good travel, but it's just idles a little outside of that dead zone. You know, I think that's probably in the okay zone. I'm going to loosen up the tension. I'm going to have to give this a little bit more testing, but I think, yeah, the more I turn it, the more I loosen it up, the more it settles in towards the middle. This stick is fine, and you can hear in the microphone, it's got a good click. So at this point, I feel good closing it up. All that's left is 6 screws and the faceplate. Of course, the motor on the WoW stick is not quite strong enough for these screws, but it's okay because it does work as a manual screwdriver when you need to use it that way. Screw in place. Just letting the motor go as long as it will. Alright, got all of that stuff in place. All that's left is the faceplate. And as is kind of fun, I'll show off, or not show off, but show you. You can see a little bit in the camera. There's a real good example of it, is when you have to pry this faceplate off, it's really hard to not, you know, show it in the rubberized coating on the grips. You just kind of have to live with that. But all that being said, plug it back in just for one more. I think definitely this stick is going to be just fine. I'll give it some more tests off screen, but it should be good to sell. All right, so not the best example of how to replace a stick, but that's more or less how you do it. If any of you watched live, I'm sorry. If you watch the recording on Twitch, I'm also sorry. If you watch it on YouTube, this will be nice and edited for you. Thanks, everybody.